Hello guys! Welcome everybody to Mando Monday. This is the series where you guys ask the questions and I, of course, answer them. This could be to do with anything related to Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO investing, or maybe something to do with myself and maybe Star Wars, as you can see in the background. If you guys have any questions for next week's video revolving around CS or anything you'd like that you want answered, make sure you leave it down in the comment section of this video, or really anyone to be exact. But when you do, make sure you use Ask Mando and then ask your question. It's usually easiest for me to find that question specifically that way. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of good questions for this week, but also some cool little announcements I want to talk about as well. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button and of course subscribe for weekly CSGO content. And here's a quick word from our video sponsor, Skins Monkey. Now today's video sponsor is of course Skins Monkey. Now if you guys are unfamiliar with what Skins Monkey is, they are currently the biggest growing Counter-Strike Global Offensive trading marketplace for skins, which is absolutely amazing, with great fees as well. Let's just say you guys have some skins you're really not feeling anymore. Skins Monkey is the best way to trade them. In this trade, to be exact, I actually profited 18 cents, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but considering it's a trading website, it's actually very, very good. Sign up today to get up to a $5 bonus, which is very nice. And if you've never used the website before, well, you can use my code MANDO, go up to the top right, you claim that bonus. And if you guys want to deposit with real life cash or crypto, you get a 25% deposit bonus, which is very, very nice. So a lot of interesting stuff this past week. For one, I want to talk about my absence on YouTube. I haven't been uploading every single day, and that is pretty much due to the fact that I've been very sick. I don't know if you can tell in my voice, but I kind of lost it for a couple of days and I couldn't really speak. So I had to take a break from YouTube. I've just been pretty much sitting in bed doing nothing, which has been kind of fun, but also kind of horrifying, because I really enjoy working, especially making YouTube videos. So expect more obviously later this week, and back to daily uploads most likely probably Wednesday. And of course, before we get into the questions, this is something I'm going to make a whole video on its own. But right now, I want everyone watching this video to be careful and look out for this in the next couple of weeks. We're already starting to see it right now, and that is pretty much Rio Major hype and Rio Major fake hype and all this other BS that's going on. Essentially, people are going to start hyping up the Rio Major stickers, that they're going to be the best investment ever, that you should sell all your investments right now from Stockholm, Antwerp, even years before, because there's not really a point. We don't really know what's going to happen with the next major, but this is something that happened going into Antwerp that I called out on a few different YouTubers, and I ended up being right on this matter, where pretty much people were saying that Antwerp were going to look a little different, and it was most likely going to be underinvested once again. People sold all their Stockholm items and they got really pissed at some of the YouTubers. So this is also for you to do your own research, even if you're listening to me, Master Shiny, Fels. We're just giving you tools that you can use to make better decisions, if that makes any sense. And obviously some of our personal opinions, which are not always right. I'm not always right. No one's ever always right. But let's hop into some questions for this week's video. Now, our first question up is Ask Mando. What do you think of the Horizon and Prisma cases? So these two specifically are cases that were really cheap in the past couple of years, mainly this year, specifically in the end of 2021, when a lot of people started investing into CS. And while my thoughts have definitely changed on some of the Prisma cases, mainly both of them, but I don't think they're as good as people are hyping them up to be right now. Still how I feel. Obviously anything in CS right now is going to go up anyway, and that's mainly because the player count is just so high in CS right now. There's no operation, there's no evidence that anything is coming in the near future really, besides the things we've covered. There's no announcements. Obviously we have our major, but there's nothing going on, and the fact that we have 1 million people is equaling to the fact that a lot of older cases, a lot of skins, a lot of stickers, and just everything is going up in general, because obviously there's not enough skins and cases to equal for the new players coming in that want to buy some of that. So really, any of these are going to be great right now. The Horizon case has been proven to be very good this year. The skins in it, I think, are a lot better personally than something like the Prisma case. Prisma 2, same thing. But if you want to use the mentality that we have a high player count and really anyone's buying anything right now, that's not the worst idea in the world. My thoughts and opinions on investing into CS right now has really changed this past couple of weeks. In a sense, I used to always be like, oh, things are too expensive, things are too high. But the fact that we have 1 million people playing the game, it doesn't matter what you buy in CS, it's going to go up if it's retired and you can't buy it anymore, just because we have so many people in the game. But of course, that's just what I think. Let me know what you guys think down below of those two specifically, and just really anything right now. Our next question up is also the Rox sticker is going up due to the fact that Rox is obviously benched due to personal problems and he won't be competing for the next few majors, it seems like. So this is a really good question. A lot of people have been wondering what the hell is going on with Rox specifically. His sticker has gone from about $40 the past day or two to $65, which is just absolutely crazy in my personal opinion. Now, this is not something you should jump on. Every time a player gets benched or retires, their price of their sticker eventually starts to flow and go back down over time. Now, the past couple of people that have retired that are pretty big, can't really think of any names off the top of my head, but I remember people did this with Shroud when he retired, And his sticker ended up going down quite a bit afterwards. The hype kind of dies down, and usually these are kind of just FOMO hypes. So you're probably going to see maybe a price of $70, $75 in the next couple of days. If you have one, I personally would just hold on to it. I don't see a point in selling right now. If people are willing to pay this price at the moment for this, when the fact that there's a whole bunch more you can unbox, I would just hold on to it. It's going to go up either way in the future. Now, our next question up here is a bit of a long one, so I'm going to summarize it for you. It has a lot of interactions, has a lot of likes, has a lot of comments, so I thought I'd answer it for you guys as well, since you guys are probably wondering the same thing. He's pretty much talking about how you can't see Antwerp equaling RMR 2.0, and I'm in the exact same boat. And he also thinks right now is the perfect time to pick up some of these capsules and, of course, some of these stickers. Now, that is definitely a gamble, but I think if you have some right now, there's really no point in panic selling and making no profit on any of these specifically. Major investing is, of course, very shaky, has been the past couple of years, and I've been pretty vocal about that. But panic selling right now is doing you no good right now. These stickers do look really good for what they are. Sure, Stockholm are a little bigger and some of the holo effects are a little better, but the stickers are just so cheap right now for how they look. I think in the future they're going to be pretty good. Now, of course, this is a pretty big gamble in a sense that if the next major has similar stickers, well, even Stockholm's going to go down at this point because people are not going to have an incentive to buy those, because if we get very similar stickers in the next 3 majors, it's like, what's the point of going back 2 majors and paying, you know, an extra 40% of what they were retail price on the sale of 75% off at 25 cents? You can just buy the new ones for 25 and get the stickers for a quarter of the price that the old ones are for, and if they look the exact same. But comparing the quantity from RMR to this event specifically, it's nowhere close to that, especially when it was first really on the market. Right now, I think this guy proves a really good point. Me personally, if you already bought some, I wouldn't buy any more. I would just keep that. If you make profit with it, great. If you don't, it sucks as well. Maybe it might be a wake-up call to you not to go into the next major, or maybe look at it with more of a bird's eye view and to see what's going on. Our next question up here is Ask Mando, what do you think of the Riptide case? Sell now or hold for long term? So this right now is in a weird spot, I would say. In a lot of senses that most people unboxing this are mainly either going for the golds or the Desert Eagle and really nothing else in this case. The main reasons, obviously the reds are good, especially the Deagle, the AK not so much. Really no one likes this AK, I would say overall. And the knives of course are really, really nice, but they are obviously in the Dreams and Nightmares case. And since the Dreams and Nightmares case is so expensive, this case is even going to be a little more expensive, one, because you can't get it anymore, but also it has some pretty exclusive skins that we're probably not going to see very much in the future because most people aren't going to pay $2 to unbox this unless they already did in the past. Now, me personally, I'm always about taking profit. Right now, what I would do with this is I would probably sell it depending on what you got it for. Now, if it was during Operation Riptide, when you had the opportunity to get this for a couple of stars or 20 and 30 cents in the Steam market, I would probably sell right now, just go into something else because you might be waiting a very long time for this thing to go up anymore. But obviously, if you don't care too much and maybe bought in at a higher price, then definitely just hang on to it. You know, with the player count being very high, with exclusive skins, even if I hate the AK and most other people do, people still want to unbox it for the Desert Eagle and, of course, some of the knives, because that might give people a bigger incentive to want to unbox it rather than Dreams and Nightmares. Because Dreams and Nightmares, I feel like most people are either going for the AK Wish, Night Wish specifically, or, of course, the golds and nothing really else. And in this case, there's some other skins that maybe people might want to go for because they're worth a little more because the case is more expensive, if that makes any sense. I personally would sell, but you might want to hang on to it. Be just to know you might be hanging on to it for a little while. Now, our next question up here is from CSGO Video Power, and it's a little bit of a longer one, so I'm just going to summarize it for you. Essentially, he's saying there should be an operation before the Rio Major, because it obviously is the big major. There should be a new operation collection for the souvenir packages. What do I think personally? And do you think we'll see an operation before the Rio Major? Personally, at this point in time, we have no idea what Valve is doing, what they're cooking up. We have no clue whatsoever. If I had to guess, what's most likely going to happen is, I think personally, we're going to receive it most likely after the Rio Major. For a couple reasons why. One, I think new operation collections being in a souvenir packages is kind of weird, but also would make sense for a lot of different reasons. Number one, being the fact that souvenir packages are a lot easier to obtain than they used to be. Pretty much anyone can get them, and they're pretty much useless and not very valuable at this point in time because anyone can buy them when they're on the sale. They don't drop like how they used to. And since we just got a whole bunch of new operation collections going for the souvenir packages just the past couple of years, I just don't really see them doing that. But since there are so many souvenir packages and since you can buy so many, that is kind of the arguing point right there. Me personally, I still don't think we're going to see an operation until after the major. I think it could be dropping the day of the final day of the major, because I think Valve is going to want to prioritize the major stickers over anything else. So once that 75% off sale gets removed, or maybe it's still on, it's kind of going a little slower, they'll push out an operation to monetize more things to get more money, if that makes any sense. Because if we have an operation going on, everyone's going to be playing it, especially with the player count we're seeing right now at 1 million. It's probably going to be 1.5 million when the operation's on. And with the major stickers specifically, I feel like a lot of people are still burnt out on Antwerp and Stockholm. So most people aren't going to want to buy those and the operation stuff at the exact same time. So I think people are going to need a break in between there. Let me know what you guys think down below. Now, our next question up here is, of course, from Neb. And he says, will you ever do, for an example, videos preparing your Steam balance for investments pre-operation? So this is a pretty good question. And yes, I will. It's not very hard. So essentially what you want to do is, if you're going to buy stuff on the Steam market, you go onto a third-party website like Skinport, Bitskin, CS Deals, or Buff. You buy something like an M9 bayonet Doppler, you sell it on the Steam market, you get a very large Steam balance, for an example. And if you want to buy stuff on Buff a couple weeks later for a very cheap price compared to what it is in the Steam market and other North American sites, you do the exact same thing. That's pretty much how you get a balance on Buff or a third-party website in the US or the Steam market for more than what you put in, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I might do a video on that in the future. I never really thought of that, but thank you. Now, our next question and comment's a very interesting one. And pretty much this guy is talking about if Valve will stop releasing agents. And right off the bat, I want to talk about that because that's very interesting. Obviously, there's more to the question, but I think the first part is a very interesting one for many people and something I think a lot of people would think. Essentially, Valve is probably never going to stop releasing agents or anything that's been successful in the past. They're just going to keep adding more stuff every major, every operation, and every event inside of CS. More things for you to buy. Agents have been deemed very successful investments for many different reasons. I'd say the top one is because obviously they're very cheap, and since there's so many of them that get released with every operation, people are going to underinvest in a couple here and there, and those ones have deemed to be very successful. They're also making Valve a lot of money, and with that, that's another thing they can monetize, and it's another thing people like you and I like to buy. And without agents, well, we're not going to be able to buy patches anymore, and Valve's not going to be able to sell those specifically. So that's two things gone right there that you won't be able to use anymore. How Valve's been with the 10th anniversary and just pushing monetary items and not really caring about an update, I don't really see them removing that, in my personal opinion. Now, our last question up here from Mando Monday, and this guy says, do you think we'll see limited time music kits for special events like an operation or a major? Very good question. And well, I'm going to go right off the bat and off a limb and say no. I think we'll never see anything really limited again inside of CSGO for many different reasons. But I take majors for an instance, and this is probably the best example I have for this. Majors used to be something that maybe would get it delayed a week. Valve was too lazy, or they're just making too much money. And it's pretty much always that one. Valve, if they're making money on something, they will keep it on the shop. They will keep it on the item shop. You look at Stockholm versus Antwerp, for an example. Stockholm wasn't doing too hot at the beginning, and that's kind of why they pulled it when it was supposed to get pulled, or maybe a week after it was supposed to. And not really a huge delay. With Antwerp, it pretty much turned at the same time as RMR, especially 75% off sale wise. And the same thing would be said with these music kits. If they released music kits for a limited time, Valve would keep them on there for a very long time if they sold well. If they didn't sell well, then they just probably leave them. Obviously, that's just my personal opinion, but Valve has been very money driven, and it's very clear about that specifically. It has been this past 10 years of CS. So I don't really see them changing their ways of anything like that specifically. It also just makes the most sense for a business. Let me know what you guys think down below. Have a good day, guys. Make sure if you have a question for next week's video, leave it down in the comments, ask Mando, then ask your question. Peace out.